press, because I think any criticism or maybe question marks I had of him coming into this season, and even within the first couple games, like, okay, you're throwing, but are you throwing the ball deep? I mean, he's throwing to all sides of the field. Last against Dallas, all 4 of his touchdowns were outside the box. Kyle Shanahan went on KNBR earlier this week and talked about how he feels comfortable calling any play at any part of the field for Brock Purdy. Now, I'm not saying he has the strongest arm in the entire world, but with his poise and ability to kind of see things before they happen, he's able to throw with anticipation, usually throw with accuracy. He did struggle when he was being blitzed a lot, but even within that game, he improved. And then against Dallas, I felt like we saw quite a bit of improvement. I know there was 2 throws. I only know them because I do the dumb thing where I live tweet, and now people to this day are in my mentions like, what Brock Purdy are you talking about?
Yeah,
I'm like,
no,
okay,
actually,
I tweeted this after a bad throw.
my advice is the live
I'm
tweeting
like,
has
I've
to slow
made
down
like
a little
10
bit. Right,
other tweets saying how
right.
good he did.
Right, like when you're watching the game, you'll say, "Hey, listen, that was just an inaccurate throw. That's no bearing on like what you think is going to happen in the game." Yeah, the live tweeting is dangerous. I've
Yeah.
actually, on Bully Ball, I told like Steph said, "I've noticed you haven't," and I'm like, "Yeah, because of that." And it was during that Giants game in which she said, "Hey, this is like one of Brock's like shakier first quarters." Then people are like, update," and it's like nobody dunks on 49er fans like 49ers fans for some reason. That's why I never get worried about like getting into a war of words with other fan bases. Why? Because my own
Yeah, you're
fan
like, I
base,
just
my own fan base piles on me for almost everything. But no, look, the pairing is a beautiful thing because Kyle is more comfortable going forward on fourth. But for the first time, and I think I want to say this, just I don't want people to get upset, but for the first time since Kirk Cousins, he has a quarterback who sees it how he sees it. Who sees it how he sees it, right? He doesn't have to tell him anything. And sometimes Kyle will say something to Brock, and Brock will say it back to him, like, no, actually this. And Kyle likes that. Kyle, if you listen to the Playmakers podcast, which I implore people to do because it gives you a mind, like inside the mind of all those guys. Kyle wants you to go back at him, but he wants you to give him the answer, and he will respect you more. Like if you have the answer for him as to why. And I think that's what you're seeing with Purdy a little bit, and not only on the fact that he's seeing it how he sees it, he doesn't have to explain everything to him in that way. He has the improvisational skills, all of those things. It's the perfect pairing. It doesn't have to be the best quarterback with the best play caller. It has to be the person who does things the way that Kyle wants and operates the offense at this level, and that's what you're seeing. A lot of people get enamored. I think someone said something crazy to the idea of like Brock Purdy's better in this offense than Patrick Mahomes would be. I don't know if that's true, but I do
I think
think that I do think that they're a perfect marriage of like their skill set and how he sees it. Because for once, Kyle doesn't have to go through like this is the read, this is what you have to do. Like after a bad throw or something like that, now he can just call the plays. And if there is something, he knows that Brock's going to have the answer and he's resilient. So I think that's kind of the pairing and what makes the pairing so special.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I heard that comment. I heard someone say that Purdy throws with more anticipation than Patrick Mahomes, and I was like, all right, we're good. He's really good, but let's calm down for a second,
Right,
guys.
right, right,
Let's
right.
calm down. But I'm also very excited with how well he's doing. Um, and I do. I think that the connection between Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan is definitely underrated. I like the way you articulated it. Like they're speaking the same language,
Mm-hmm.
and Kyle respects someone because it show Purdy's ability to kind of say no and explain this is what I'm seeing and this and in a way that Kyle can understand. I feel like that makes Kyle respect him and think he's intelligent. And I hypothesized that Kyle did not feel like Jimmy Garoppolo was intelligent. And I think maybe there was some resentment about maybe his lack of effort. I think
That's
when
kind of where I was
I
going with that. Actually, it's like having to go back and like say, "Listen, didn't you? I told you." Like there's never that kind of like back and forth between those two. That's what I kind of meant. I didn't want to talk bad
yeah.
about Jimmy though.
No, yeah, no, not calling him dumb. Just maybe, maybe they didn't speak the same language. And I definitely think that Kyle not only respects Purdy's intelligence. I mean, I don't think anyone has ran this 49ers offense so efficiently. It's kind of impressive that a 23-year-old has seemingly the best grasp on this 49ers offense than anyone has ever had in the system. Um, but I also think Kyle not only respects his knowledge and his ability, but his maybe determination or like the underground story of it. I think Kyle Shanahan, it's extremely important to him and his legacy to win that Super Bowl. And maybe there was some complacency with Jimmy Garoppolo kind of already getting paid, and uh, teammates and Kyle Shanahan have both made several comments about him not answering the phone in the offseason, maybe not putting in as much work as Kyle hoped. And I think Purdy has that same driving force to kind of prove, because people still right now, or if he wasn't a seventh round pick, if he had maybe more physical ability or just was taller, I think people around national media around the league might be talking about him even more. And right now they do a lot to discredit and not discredit, because they're giving good. He does have weapons. He does have an amazing play caller, but I think Purdy is pretty determined to win a Super Bowl to start. I think he has that confidence within himself and that same determination. And I was wondering if maybe you think that that could also be a reason that Kyle um, seems to have so much like admiration and like joy finding Brock Purdy, is maybe he found someone who he knows is going to put in the same amount of work as him, and winning that ultimate goal is just as important to Brock Purdy, who is the quarterback, the leader of the team, as it is to Kyle Shanahan.
I think that's definitely true, and I think when you look around the locker room, him being a captain, I think everybody is always talking about it, and you see it, right? Like he commands the huddle. I think there's something about the way that this offense never feels like out of control, and things are never out of control with him, and he's always got it in control, even if the offense isn't clicking, the whole way, which is something that we haven't really seen this entire season. But a little bit to your point about why people still don't believe in Brock, or there's still a little it's easier to discredit the last pick in the draft. Way easier. Let's say Brock
Yeah.
Purdy was somebody that was taken with the third pick in the draft. I don't think you see anybody saying, "Oh my God, it's all the playmakers, it's the coach, it's all of those things," right? Like I think it's much easier to bet on the downfall of the last pick in the draft and bet against him, because the likelihood of him being this good for a long period of time isn't on his side. Doesn't mean that it can't happen, but people kind of take easy bets when it comes to like, well, this can't last, right? Like this isn't going to be storybook, right? He's going to eventually fall on his face. But I do think Kyle and this entire team, they all believe in him. They all understand. And then when you look at what he does on the field, it's hard to argue against. So I think less and less this is more of a talking point, only to the people that have kind of dug in their heels to, I don't think this guy is that good. You need to slow down on him. Those are the
Oh,
people that you'll hear that from.